So, do any of you out there eat to numb? Well, what I did for years was I ate to actually disappear. I'm going to talk about that and a couple of my stories here coming up on the Spencer Mark podcast. Hey, welcome back. Happy to have you here. This one's a doozy. I want to continue to just dive deeper into this making sense of food. So this image I have in my head all the time. I'm back in salmon growing up, um, sitting in my house, maybe watching a little bit of TV, young person, and I can hear that diesel engine rolling up the hill. This just way down the road, just like live in this big like 50-acre lot, and you can hear stuff from miles and miles away. I can hear that diesel engine rolling up the road. I know he's going to be coming. So, and I can feel that right away. I could start to feel like a little anxiousness. I need to get up. I need to be on the ready. I can't be sitting down when he walks in through the door. Um, I need to be hyper vigilant here. You know what I mean? So I feel completely like I feel triggered now, even just knowing like, well, I better be busy doing something. He comes rolling up the road and comes through the door and like slams it open. So what have you been doing all day? You know? So I just got to set that up is like every time I would have a little bit of time to myself, it was just heavenly. And then when dad would come home, typically that would be very stressful time for me. Um, so what does this have to do with food? Well, it has to do with everything with numbing, to disassociating. And what I was talking about earlier is just like actually disappearing. And I just want to chat on this for just a little while, just to let you know that I just really wasn't in a place where I was eating to nourish. I was really just eating to numb myself. I was eating to just kind of disappear, like I'm not here. It was so for me, when I would eat, it would be a disassociate from being very uncomfortable in the physical world and put myself in like this state of bliss. A lot of times to me, it was like, you watch Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory and Augustus Gloop is walking through the Candyland. And he's not there, right? He's there like physically, but he's eating he's eating the lollipops, and he's putting his hand in the chocolate river and drinking that. And he's just got chocolate all over his face, and you can just like lose yourself in that. And I learned at a very early age that food was a way for me to just feel a little bit better. And then the food choices wasn't just like healthy meals. It was very fast, very quick and easy to eat type of stuff. So for me, it was when growing up, it was cereal, anything, whether it's corn pops or fruity pebbles or anything like that. It was pastries. It was eating donuts. And the thing is about that, I was just really savoring safety in those things. It's like you eat them, you're looking at a cartoon on the box typically, and you're really not feeding a hunger. You're just like, I was just checking out. And the thing here with this is I've learned this stuff, and this is still something that I carry and deal with in my 40s, bro. I'm almost 50 years old, and this is something that I'm still working through. So it was like this ritual of eating and eating these types of foods that gave my nervous system like a momentary sense of peace and well-being. I could put myself in there right now. Just everyone just kind of leave me alone. I could just be here with my food. I can be here in this, just chewing it up, the crunch, the sugar, the fatty pastries inside my mouth. It was just like, it was just heavenly. And this type of ritual, again, it just gave me peace. And so I just disappeared into the food. So I didn't really have to feel the panic. It sucks being panicked, right? I mean, have you ever felt that way to where you're feeling stressed? You got a lot of work going on. Maybe the kids are a little bit too much, and you revert to like locking yourself in the pantry and eating. Like I've done that before. because I'm really not caring about what's going on. I'm really disassociating and pulling myself out of that and getting myself into a safe place. Kind of like Happy Gilmore when he talks about go to your happy place. Go to a little happy place where everyone's happy. And I mean, grandma's winning the lottery and wearing a kiss mask, and like there's a little person on a little pony riding himself around. You've seen Happy Gilmore, you know what's going on here too. So my happy place was like I was like on a Lucky Charms box basically for me. So um it just became this automatic thing over time to where if I was getting stressed, I would run to a box of pastries. I would run to the cookies. I would run to whatever I could to just try to consume and disappear. And this was not conscious. This is just like something would trigger inside of me. I'll get into that here in a second on what that was. But it wasn't until I learned the somatic tools to understand what was happening within my body and what I needed to give myself, because I wasn't really aware of these triggers that were happening that were making me want to binge or overeat. So over time, this automatic response wasn't really from me stepping into my power. It was like my inner child was still driving. The inner child that was like nervous that dad was coming home. It takes the wheel from you, because we don't really come to a point in our lives to where we get a stamp of approval and say you are now an adult. So now you can let go of all these childish inhibitions, those types of things. These are still what we learn as a child due to our programming, our conditioning from our parents, our caregivers. This is stuff that we continually carry on, and they play out unconsciously, and they play out in the way that you could be eating, you could be parenting, the way you relate with other people. They come out in all sorts of different ways. For me, it was with the food. When I would get overly stressed, it was like, oof, whoa, it's been a couple hours. I need to eat now. Need to eat. So when I say it was like a disappearing act, I wasn't present. So the best piece of advice I ever got here is from Adele, like who's a somatic practitioner and a complete pro in this, is help me really understand this tool that she's given me of pausing, being with the discomfort of pausing and slowing down. So she said, like, just pause, and what is it that you're really trying to soothe? What's hungry? Is your stomach hungry? Is your head hungry? Like, what's hungry? So, and just I really didn't need to fix my hunger, so to speak. I really needed to start listening to it. So I started learning the tools on how to do that. So if your food feels like it's like your only escape in the world, it's not necessarily that you're broken, but it's that you're just wired for survival. So if you want some help with that rewiring, let's explore what your body is going through right now, what it's trying to say. I'd love to know why. So I have a link in the description. You can book a discovery call and just find out what does your hunger mechanism say to you. Okay. Or you can even leave that in the comments or in the descriptions here below. So I want to get into this the weight of shame here. Kind of a little play on words. But I didn't just the thing is that the shame made me hide the food, but I didn't just hide the food. I hid my body. I hid also my feelings, and overall, I hid my fury. I was pissed. Okay, stressed, pissed, and I was upset with myself, shame for myself, all those types of things. Just the shame made me completely defensive as hell. Especially when somebody made a comment about how much food I was eating. Ooh, watch out for that person. I would get extremely defensive. Hey, Spence, looks like you're really putting it away there. Yeah, well, I haven't eaten all day. All right. That would be a lie. Um, I would, I would just so program to not to hurry and eat that first plate of food so fast so I could get another plate. I was really stuck in this scarcity mindset. It's just odd. Like I would motor through that first plate of food real fast so I could get up and get seconds in time before somebody else got up from the table to take the seconds away from me. Does that make sense? Has anyone ever done that? So I wouldn't really sit and savor with my food. I was just hurrying to get through that first plate to get to my second before anybody else got any. And then I would always use the excuses, well, I'm bigger than you. And I would say this to my kids is like, well, I'm bigger than you. I need to eat more food, or I work out at the gym. I need to have this food. So that was all like this. I was just this, what's the word? Like just really justifying my eating the food. Um, so if I started to like sense any sort of judgment I would get from other people, and I've been through this with Adele and our early years too together. Um, if she was in the shower, this wasn't too long ago. If she was in the shower, she's very fast in the shower, by the way. I know that I would only have like probably 3 to 4 minutes, to make something. And so what I would do is I would run in the pantry real fast as soon as she turned the shower on. And she knows the story, I think. But I'd run in the pantry real fast, and then I would look through, like, my favorite thing was like we'd call this date night. And I would go through this medjool dates. You ever seen these? There's like really big fatty dates. And I would tear it open real fast and pull the pit out. And then I would take some Trader Joe's dark chocolate, the little squares, and I would break up a little square, and I would put it inside the date. And then I would open up the peanut butter, like always Adam's chunky peanut butter. And then I would take the big scoop of that, and I would slather it on top of that date here. And then I would just like throw that down. Just one of those down. Now, probably one of those is probably around 250 calories, considering everything. Then I'd hit another one, and then another one, as fast as I can chew. And especially with peanut butter stuck to the roof of your mouth, you really got to motor through it. And I did. And I would get about 4 or 5 of those things in. That was probably close to 1,000 calories worth of food down. And I would just get it in because I was just like, God, I just got to hurry up and just get this done and then be out of there. And then I would have to go brush my teeth. And sometimes if I would give her a goodnight kiss, all the peanut butter smell would get stuck in my mustache here. So I'd be found out. Sorry about that. So it was just this fix I needed. It was like this hit of dopamine that I needed to have. It was completely primal, and I needed it to be private. Have any of you ever had that before, to where you need to eat in private, to where you don't feel like bothered or judged? But the thing is that I was judging me as I was eating this at the same time. And that would lead to my shame, would lead to my almost like a violent attitude towards myself. Because over time I would look at myself in the mirror, and I would really grab my chest and grab my man boob at the time. And I would just like, whoa, I just want this gone. I just want this gone. Or grab my belly, and I would just pull on it. And I'd imagine like lifting my belly up and my love handles up. And I can imagine it like a big fluffy sweater that I just wanted to like rip off of my body. And that it was just, I was just completely ashamed of what I looked like. Now I can look back and have some compassion for those parts of that part of me that made it through. I made it through all this type of stuff. But at that time, just that shame over time really built up into like this silent rage, and it just really wasn't explosive. A lot of the times it was just really silent, and I was really cold. Everything was internalized. But overall, I think the anger really just wasn't about my body, the feeling about my body. It was just about continuing to make myself invisible, and I was not unseen. I mean, I was feeling unseen and just like unheard, and really just unprotected, that through those times. That was kind of the weird thing, is that I was really eating to disappear, and then I would get bitter that I really wasn't being seen for who I was, that I really wasn't myself. That's a difficult place to be in. It's like you can never win. You eat because you're unhappy. You're unhappy, so you eat. It's this vicious cycle. So obviously something's changed, and I finally have gotten now to a spot, and I figured it out. And this is what I help men with, is just building that map of really finally figuring it out. That just learning how to train my body, learn how to train my mind. That's just the bigger part of it. My body, my brain are now working together, finally at peace, because of the somatic tools I've learned, the training that I do now, the system that I've installed that doesn't just shred fat. it shreds these false stories we keep of ourselves too. And now I can eat to nourish my body. So if you've ever grabbed your body in disgust, you're definitely not alone in this at all. And just to let you know, you're never going to achieve health by punishing yourself to get into it. I mean, there really is another way. So let's just talk. Leave your comments here below. So what we're trying to do here is I'm going to leave you with some tips on reprogramming what's really happening here. Now, these are some tips that have really helped me out. So these cravings that you might be having for the food, they really aren't random. They're messages, and you really need to listen to what they're saying, like underneath the words. So some tips that really have helped me. Number one is pausing before you take a bite. Take a look at the food, the shape of the food, perhaps the smell on the food. And just get in the habit of just pausing before each and every bite. And when you get to a spot to where you're finishing most everything on your plate, check in with yourself periodically and ask, am I still physically hungry or am I more emotionally empty? For me, it was a lot of times I was just kind of emotionally empty and I just wanted to cry in that fourth bowl of ramen, whatever it was that I was eating. So work on pausing before each bite. Second thing is you can start to breathe into that type of craving. So if you're really starting to notice something come up, like you're craving, like again, pizza or donuts, or you're seeing an ad on TV for a burger or fries or whatever that thing is for you, just let your system catch up. Let your nervous system catch up before your fingers do. So take a moment to really understand what's going on. Okay, like I'm noticing and craving. Like what are you feeling? Are you feeling stressed? What do you notice in your body? Are you feeling some constriction? Do you need some kind of release? If that's the case, taking a walk, finding a funny movie to watch, laughing, that usually relieves some pressure. What are some things that you can do to kind of let your nervous system slow down and catch up to what's going on? Because typically, if we run to the kitchen and grab something, throw something down real fast, that's when it can lead to that binge. So breathe into the craving. Another one you can do here too also is name the need. Okay, what is it that you need? Are you craving some attention? Are you craving more alone time or some solitude? Some kind of comfort? Are you trying to control the situation? What is it that you actually need? It's okay to ask yourself, what do I need right now? What do I need in this moment? Okay. So getting used to that. When you can name and ask yourself, what do you need? You can come through for yourself with that need. That builds more trust, more inner trust with yourself, to where you can ask yourself these questions and not get upset at yourself because you don't have the answers. You can provide yourself your very own answer, but you got to ask those questions. What do I need? Another big one here too is journaling. Like the past, like say the 5 minutes, what happened, that journaling to kind of gain a better understanding of what's really happening. What is it that may have triggered this? For me, my big trigger was like, I mean, my kids, with them being teenagers, if they had stresses that they were going through, if they were snappy at the table, I would get snappy back at them. So tense interactions with the kids, tense interactions with your spouse. But a lot of times those tense situations arise because I'm feeling tension, and I might be short with how I relate to them, how I talk to them. My tone of voice might be a little bit off as well. I might be upset about something else completely different, perhaps something at work. Taking a moment to just really journal what's happening to your body. This is really the best thing that can happen, that you can do, is to keep a journal with you, notepad and pen, and you really need to practice and train with it. That's really the only thing that's going to, that you can do to really get your thoughts down on paper. So feed yourself with the presence. This is a big one. Feeding yourself with presence. So as you eat, to make it a ceremony, not a crime. Okay, so really sit there. That's why it's, a lot of families, back in the day would sit around and they would say a prayer, or they would give thanks for the food. Everyone would go around and perhaps give some appreciation, for the day or for one another. Whatever you got to do to like make the meal a ceremony for yourself, and remember that this food, this opportunity, the food is an opportunity to nourish yourself. So not just nutritionally, but socially, emotionally. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that can happen with the magic of food. So obviously it's there for you to as a crutch to numb if that's what you're still using it for, but that's your battle. I get it. But there are other uses for that food as well. So feeding yourself emotionally, spiritually, feeding yourself intellectually, socially, um, mentally, all those types of things. And another tip to train daily. So not just your body, but train your responses to the food, train your responses to life, train your responses to the stress more than anything. So finding healthy alternatives to when these triggers come up, when you are upset, when you are stressed, when you are emotional, just to have a log of those. What I would do here too is like I would make a list of the things that I do is I go out for a walk. I will go out and stretch. Um, to get myself in some sun. I can sit and I can orient in the park when I watch somebody else play with their puppy or with their kids, or watching the wind blow through the trees, or just pausing for a moment. That's a way to kind of associate yourself with something that's calming, something that's grounding. So this is a good way to kind of be with your presence, be with your responses, and train with that daily. Have yourself a list made up that you can go to when you are feeling stressed or a little bit out of it. So, uh, and then this last piece put down here is just like sleep, sunlight, and salt. Okay, so these are all really great tools to use for metabolic health, and this is what I coach. Um, but the sleep is absolutely super important to stabilize your blood sugar. All of these are really. The sunlight is obviously good for vitamin D. Now we're coming into summer, we're getting plenty of that vitamin D coming in, and plenty of salt to kind of keep, because we're going to be sweating a lot, but you want to keep your electrolytes in balance. It's got electrolytes. Um, that's why I drink Topo Chico. Plus, I got this like little fancy little corksicle can. I just like this. Raspberry lemon. Anyway, so work on those things too, like sleep, sunlight, and salt. That's the best way to recover. Get enough sunlight throughout the entire day. You want to have maybe a little lemon salt water in the throughout the day. That's definitely going to help your metabolism, and then it's sleep time to help you recover. So that is what that's about. All right. So the quiet rage that keeps the craving. I just wanted to kind of go over this. This is yeah, it really doesn't yell like this kind of this built up resentment and this bitterness that comes up with this craving. There's something is really driving it. And it's that whisper is like, don't, you should be better than this. What is it that you're doing? Look at yourself. It's that feeling, that ache that I was never good enough. So no matter what I ate, no matter what I did, I just didn't really feel like I stacked up. And the only thing that I could really fall into was, again, I always used the box of donuts. It was just like complete heaven to me. And it wasn't like I could eat donuts all the time. It's not like, because when I was a kid, I couldn't just go to the store and buy donuts. I had to steal them. I'm just kidding. I didn't steal too many. But it's like this ache of never feeling good enough, and even if you get to the bottom of that box or the bottom of that bag or whatever it is, it comes from that feeling that you're just not good enough, that you're just not enough. And that's a feeling that you can have without the food. Right. So it's like had to tune into and connect to like this bitterness that I was feeling of not really being chosen. I'm maybe appreciated or liked when I was a kid very much, perhaps, or maybe I felt I wasn't championed or comforted enough, perhaps at that time. It's hard for me to kind of think back and put myself in that position. And no doubt that I got help along the way from some wonderful friends and perhaps some other family members. But a lot of times how I got through was like through jokes and through making light of the situations in class, being a class clown. Um, and so that's what I would do, I think, to get some attention a lot of times. But the best healing times I ever got, I felt during that time, was to just to really start eating. But that really wasn't healing; it was just numbing. So uh, it was like this. It's like this quiet rage is often saying, if no one's gonna love me, then I'm gonna love myself with this food instead. I'm gonna numb myself instead. So you're gonna get to yourself one day. You're finally, perhaps maybe you're getting there to where you're just gonna really stop reacting and really start responding, and not from shame, but with a strategy. So that's what I work with men with, is just developing a strategy to pull yourself out of these situations to where you're not feeling the shame and you're backsliding into like being hard on yourself. We as men are extremely hard on ourselves already. Okay. The last thing we need is to beat ourselves up in hopes that we can heal, which is the most ridiculous thing ever, right? Just to think that we need to harm ourselves or be mean to ourselves in order to feel healthy, or to come correct with our behaviors or what we're doing. So in order to finally gain love for ourselves and appreciation for ourselves, we really got to emulate that. So just this reprogramming that we're going to be doing, it's not about controlling your cravings so much. It's really about really decoding them and understanding what these cravings really mean for you. So again, that's the work that I do with men, is that we turn basically this autopilot you've been on forever into like a deeper awareness. And from that, we can begin the reprogramming process. So if you're ready to stop like white knuckling it from day to day and start building peace with a process that completely works and works for you, to where you can celebrate food and eat the things you want and still get in amazing shape for yourself, book that discovery call with me and let's talk. I want to be able to learn about your story, learn what it is that you're going through, and I will develop a plan for you on that call, and one that can, at least you can walk away with a plan and a design and an understanding of what you need to do in order to get from where you're at today to where you want to be, you know, in the near future. So um, let me know in the comments what this did for you. If there's anything else that you would like to talk about or you want me to go over, um, please let me know in the comments. But I just wanted to just break in with you tonight to share just a little bit about about my food journey, about where I've come from with my food, and where I'm seeing myself go in the future. But I'm working on loving myself a little bit more each and every day. I'm working on nourishing myself, not just with the food, but with good conversation, with my relationships with Adele and with my kids and with the people in my circle. And I would love to cultivate a relationship with you too moving forward. So just let me know in the comments what you would like to talk on. And I look forward to speaking with you soon. All right. Later, y'all.